Chief Medical Officer of Kathy's Urgent Care, and today's topic is sleep apnea. This actually goes along with our last video on obesity and people being overweight. There is a correlation with that, but this one is a little different. So I'm going to just start off with a very simple question. I wake up in the mornings, and after 7 hours of sleep, I'm not getting up in the middle of the night and that kind of thing. I'm tired. What's going on?
Well, that's a classic, a lot of things could be going on, but frankly, that's a classic symptom, the classic symptom of sleep apnea. And in particular, obstructive sleep apnea, partly because that's the most common sleep-related breathing disorder, and partly because it's the topic of today's conversation, but all joking aside, that's what patients complain of. When you're taking a history and, any anxiety, depression, chest pain, difficulty breathing, you go through the whole list of questions, sometimes we forget to ask patients, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you feel well rested? And a shocking number of people said, wow, it's funny you asked that. I feel exhausted. I wake up, I got 6 hours, I got 8 hours, and I feel exhausted. What's going on? And so this is part of what's potentially going on. Obstructive sleep apnea. It's very prevalent in our society.
My wife also complains that I snore a lot and that it wakes her up at night. But I don't hear anything. How can that happen?
So first off, most people with sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea, don't know they have it. How would you know? You're sleeping. You're not getting good quality sleep. You're not getting this REM sleep that really is restorative. So that when you wake up in the morning, your mind and body are rested. But yeah, you might even occasionally wake up because of your loud snoring, but you don't realize that. You go right back to sleep. So your wife might tell you you're a loud snorer, and you just chuckle it off. Now, if you don't have any symptoms, you feel well rested when you wake up in the morning, you have enough energy during the day, you're not falling asleep at 2 in the afternoon at the middle of your desk at work, then you might just be a loud snorer. But if you have symptoms, it's very likely that you have obstructive sleep apnea.
What really causes sleep apnea? And how can I tell specifically if I have it?
So in terms of what causes it, it's fairly straightforward, at least the way I'll describe it, I'll keep it very simple. It's an obstruction in airflow in the back of the throat, whether it's due to an enlarged hard palate or soft palate, or variations in tongue size, or it has to do with obesity where the neck itself is getting too large and compressing the airways. But basically, there's physical factors at play that cause the airways to be to narrow, essentially, when people specifically are sleeping. So there's an obstruction of the airflow, and that in turn results in decreased oxygen to the tissues of the body, in particular the brain, and that is part of the way. Now, people get symptomatic, of course. You don't have enough oxygen to the brain, all sorts of bad things happen. The second part of your question, I think, was what can I do about it, or how can I tell if I have it, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So one, you talk to your doctor. We're happy at Kathy's Urgent Care, we deal with this sort of stuff, and we're happy to screen patients. What we need to do is send them to a sleep expert or send them for an overnight sleep test. A lot of people aren't crazy about the idea of being in a lab and sleeping, although these days sometimes they'll even do it in a hotel suite or something like that to make it easier for patients. But there's also now in the last decade or so, the technology is making it such that the accuracy and the convenience of testing at home has become very good. So a lot of patients and physicians will say, you know what, well listen, if you don't want to spend a night in the sleep lab doing what's called polysomnography, where they're looking at sleep wave patterns of the brain, then you can do it in the comfort of your own home, almost like a Holter monitor that some cardiac patients with heart conditions where to look at the heart rhythm.
Yeah. Is this something that can be cured, or do people like me have to live with it for the rest of their lives, or who's at risk? What about that?
So, good question. We've had a few of these talks, and some of them, we've mentioned in the United States, unfortunately, in the last several decades, the prevalence of certain conditions, obesity, diabetes, now we're talking about obstructive sleep apnea, have increased substantially. Now, of course, they're all related. Obesity is the largest risk factor for obstructive sleep apnea, and one of the largest risk factors for diabetes. So that's part of the reason. By the way, in terms of prevalence, depending on how you define obstructive sleep apnea, and that's a whole other discussion, but the prevalence ranges in men anywhere from 15 to 25%, and in women 5 to 15%. Those are around ballpark numbers, but 15 to 25% of men if there's 300 million people in the United States, you can do the math.
That's a large number.
There's a large number of people who have obstructive sleep apnea, who largely don't know it, are undiagnosed, and not being treated. Now, in terms of treatment, usually once they're diagnosed, they're managed. They use a CPAP or a BiPAP machine. They sleep at night. The technology is making it easier and easier, so it's not this huge mask. And so it's usually managed. However, it can be cured surgically. If someone loses, 40 or 50 or 80 pounds, and they're no longer obese, this can go away. So it can be cured.
Yeah. Oh, is this really serious? What are some of the consequences of obstructive sleep apnea?
It's serious because, one, it often goes undiagnosed. Two, it goes on for decades. So there's cumulative effects. It's it's associated with a very substantially increased mortality. So people die at a younger age. So in my mind, by definition, that makes it serious. But people have increased risks for heart disease, diabetes, strokes, all sorts of other things if they have untreated obstructive sleep apnea. So I would consider it a very serious condition.
Yeah. Is this the kind of thing that can affect people in their daily lives during the day?
So what I've seen with patients is if we've detected that they might have sleep apnea and we've diagnosed them and we set them up with the appropriate specialist, it's a dramatic, life-altering, and I'm not trying to be too cheesy here, but it's life-altering. They have their energy level. They didn't realize they were so fatigued. It was who they are. They got used to it. Just like people can gradually gain 2 or 3 pounds a year, and all of a sudden they realize that they've put on 60 pounds since their college days. It sneaks up on them. So these people didn't realize that they had no sex drive, that they were mildly depressed, that they had no energy. And then all of a sudden they get good quality sleep once their obstructive sleep apnea is being properly managed. And it's quite life-altering. And, we also, I'm not sure if we touched on it earlier or not, but at Kathy's Urgent Care and at other places, they have to do Department of Transportation, CDL examinations for truck drivers, bus drivers, folks like that. And the concern with obstructive sleep apnea is that they don't get good quality sleep, so all of a sudden, middle of the day, they fall asleep. That's obviously an occupational hazard for a pilot or a truck driver or something like that. So in that sense, it's also life or career altering if they get it managed.
So if I'm one of these people who doesn't like to go to the doctor, why can't I just take sleeping pills or drink a lot of caffeine to get through the day?
Everyone tries to self-medicate for everything. I won't venture to say whether that's a good idea or not, but to answer your question with respect to obstructive sleep apnea, unfortunately, it's typically a bad idea. Taking alcohol or muscle relaxants actually can relax the muscles around the area, causing increased obstruction, so actually exacerbating the situation. So you definitely, for obstructive sleep apnea, don't want to self-medicate. It's going to make things even worse.
So if I have the problem, my bottom line that I draw from what you just said for these last few minutes is that I should get checked out if I have any of these symptoms, and it's pretty simple to do.
I think you said it well. If you have those symptoms, if you wake up, you don't feel rested, or you feel excessive daytime sleepiness, you should absolutely get screened, and it's pretty simple to do, and it can be done in your own house.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope people take away from this some useful information, and stay with us for future videos on healthcare and wellness tips.